What is the story behind the brand mark by Drexel? To you on the sales floor, it might simply mean fine furniture, heavily promoted, fairly distributed, well known to your customers, sensibly priced. In short, a good line to have on your floor. But there are thousands of other people to whom Drexel means something entirely different. To some, it means top quality, carefully selected lumber. To others, it means structural strength with tight glue bonds. To others, a surface sanded smooth as glass. To still others, it means a finish rubbed to a high gleaming luster. These are the craftsmen who make the Drexel furniture that you sell. But let's go back to the beginning. Drexel furniture has its beginning in prime stands of timber in all parts of America and throughout the world. Trees are felled, transported to the mills to be sawed into rough lumber, and then shipped to the Drexel plants in North Carolina. Here it undergoes many months of air drying to slowly remove its natural moisture. This seasoning process is kept under constant check with scientific instruments. Air drying is followed by several weeks of slow kill drying in temperatures ranging up to 200 degrees. When it reaches 6% moisture content, it's removed. For during manufacture into furniture, it will pick up another 2%, bringing it up to the national average of 8%. Now it's ready to be made into furniture. And right here is an important difference between Drexel furniture and furniture made of solid woods. As a tree grows, it's subject to influences that are favorable and unfavorable. As these unfavorable influences affect the tree, so it affects the lumber. And here, when the wood is cut into working lengths, all visible weak spots are cut out and discarded. But the wood still contains two important shortcomings for use in fine furniture. First, there's the shrinking tendency. Nearly all the shrinkage and expansion of wood takes place in one dimension, along the annual growth rings. The longer the annual rings, the more shrinkage. And in a board like this, where the rings on one side are longer than the other, shrinkage is accompanied by warping. And the other shortcoming is hidden concentrations of stress that no eye can see. They eventually result in splits and cracks like these. But Drexel has solved both of these problems. And here's how it's done. First, we rip every board into narrow strips on these rip saw machines. Then these strips are thoroughly scrambled, turned end to end, and mixed up with wood from many other trees. Their edges are automatically glued as they travel along the conveyor. Then they're reassembled into boards. Thus, shrinkage tendencies and concentrated stress areas are broken up and distributed over so wide an area that they no longer affect the board. Next, they are solidly bonded together in an RF glue press. This is one of the production miracles of the past decade, brought about by the new synthetic resins developed for use on PT boats during the last war. The RF stands for radio frequency. Inside the glue press is a small but exceedingly powerful radio transmitter that sends out very high-frequency radio waves. They penetrate every fiber of the wood. The heat and friction of these high-frequency waves dries the synthetic resin and permanently bonds the wood in the amazingly short time of just 30 seconds. And this bond is stronger than the wood itself. After planing and dressing, this board becomes the core of what might be called a sandwich panel. Our reconstructed board becomes the core stock for this sandwich. On each side is laid a crossband of wood with the grain running at right angles. Next, sheets of veneer are laid on both sides, again at right angles, and all five are bonded solidly together. This results in a terrific increase in strength and stability. And that's a point easily demonstrated. A half-inch board of solid wood can easily be broken by a hand. But a 5-ply Drexel sandwich offers a real job to a man with a hammer. So that's the Drexel ply construction. Back veneer, crossband, core stock, another crossband, and face veneer. This gives us a vastly superior product. From the construction point of view, it's what engineers call the perfectly equalized panel. From the beauty viewpoint, it permits us to use the most beautiful and most exotic woods in the world, many of which are too unstable to ever use in solid form, and we can use them in broad, unbroken expanses. And while we're talking about veneers, let's take a look at the veneers which Drexel uses. Now, when we speak of veneers, the thought that comes first to mind is the most popular of all the veneers, mahogany veneer. In its furniture, when Drexel uses mahogany, it's either African mahogany from the wet jungles of Africa, or Honduras mahogany from several sections in tropical America. Each mahogany tree is distinctively different from others, containing its own individual grain patterns. Knowing from the outside of a log what designs and figures will be found inside is much more an art than a science. And knowing how to cut a log to make the most of the figures it contains takes a high degree of skill. Now, there was a sheet of mahogany. Among the many other veneers utilized in making Drexel furniture, or northern gray elm used in precedent and new today's living, Idaho knotty pine used in American traditional, native wild cherry, which is used in cherry highlands, pixie walnut used in peasant provincial, and of course many others. One of the most interesting steps in the veneer process is veneer matching. When bundles of veneer arrive at the Drexel plant, the sheets are packed in exactly the same order in which they were sliced from the original log, just as in the familiar loaf of sliced bread. As they're unpacked, great care is taken not to disturb this order. Then, depending upon the figure in the veneer, the effect desired, and its location on a piece of furniture, one of several matching techniques may be used. It may be slip-matched, like slipping cards off a deck, book-matched, like opening the pages of a book, or any one of a number of matching techniques. Here again, a high degree of artistry is required to achieve a smooth, unbroken flow of beauty, down the front of a dresser, for example. And so with our veneered panels under construction, perhaps this is the point where we should introduce our design section. All of Drexel's traditional groups are based on the original designs of the great old masters, Chippendale, Sheraton, Hepplewhite, Duncan Fife, and others. When original or copies of the original sketches cannot be found, the actual piece of furniture is often traced to a museum or private collection, and the proportions and measurements are taken directly. In the case of Drexel's contemporary collections, Drexel has the services of the most brilliant furniture designers in America. And so, after long weeks of work, a design for a new group is agreed upon. Sketches are discussed, rejected, revised, and then discussed and revised again. And at last, the master drawings are made and sent to Drexel's sample plant. This is a small version of Drexel's main plant, and it's entirely devoted to making sample pieces. Here, too, all the details of volume production of the sample piece are worked out. Timing of the many construction phases, the development of its characteristic finish, the production timetable, every detail. If this new design of furniture passes another round of examinations and critical discussion, then it's ready for production. Some of you may ask at this point, with all these volume production techniques, what's happened to hand craftsmanship? Well, here's a good illustration. This is the master carver at Drexel, carefully, slowly carving a beautiful shell design from a solid piece of wood, using the same artistic skill and the same tools that cabinet makers have used for centuries. Nothing can ever take the place of such hand craftsmanship. However, here is how hand skills and machine techniques work together at Drexel. After the original hand carving is made, an exact duplicate is cast in German silver. This becomes the pattern for the multiple carving machines. These amazing machines can carve up to 24 duplicates of the original carving at the same time, each one becoming an exact copy of the original hand carving, with all its delicate detail and subtle curves. Do you think you could tell which is the original and which is the copy? In the same manner, duplicates are made of turnings. And so you see, Drexel furniture is fundamentally hand-produced. But wherever machinery can do a better job than that done by hand, machinery is used. This in turn helps reduce manufacturing cost and, of course, the price to your customers. And thus, throughout the Drexel plant, you'll find a mixture of hand operations and machine operations. Here, a drawer front is having dovetails cut at both ends, and the holes drilled for hardware, all in the same operation. Here, skilled craftsmen are fitting inlays, a delicate job that must be done by hand. And here, an electronic press mechanically squares the frame of a chest. It presses it tightly together until all the joints fit perfectly. These workmen fit every Drexel drawer by hand, truing them accurately so that they'll always open and close smoothly. And this amazing machine clamps, aligns, and glues an entire bed frame in just 20 seconds. And so it is throughout the entire Drexel plant, a combination of hand and machine operations. Finally, all the pieces and sub-assemblies of a piece of Drexel furniture meet at a single point where they are assembled into the completed piece. Veneer panels, corner post, dust panels, center guides, corner blocks, all are finally joined into a single solid unit. Then an inspection, just one of dozens of inspections at every step of construction. And now at last we're ready for the finishing process. To the layman, finishing often means simply staining, varnishing, steel wooling, and waxing. But in Drexel furniture, the finish is quite another matter. It begins with sanding, sanding, and more sanding. Then, when the surface is finally as smooth as man and machine can make it, glue sizing is sprayed on. Then it's sanded again, and the base stain coat is applied. Another sanding, a wash coat, another sanding, then the second stain coat. Yet another sanding, then the filler, followed by wiping. This step is called graining, a delicate process of subtly accenting the rich figure of the grain. Next, after glaze sealing and another sanding, comes glazing, an operation requiring a keen artistic sense. A glaze stain is applied and removed in varying degrees with soft cloths and brushes to create rich highlights and shadows. Then, after another sealer and a sanding, comes a hand padding operation that enhances the overall effect of the grain figure. A coat of clear lacquer, which is sanded, another coat of clear lacquer, which is machine rubbed, and then hand rubbed with polishing compounds, and finally a coat of wax and a final hand rubbing. Then it's ready for the hardware, and if it can pass the long and searching final inspection, then, and not until then, the familiar by Drexel brand mark is burned into the inside right panel of the top right-hand drawer. So now that you've seen for yourself the engineering, the design development, the advanced construction techniques, and the meticulous finishing that goes into every piece of Drexel furniture, Use it as a vast storehouse of knowledge to help you close sales on the floor. Better yet, show your customers actual examples of Drexel's fine quality that go into each piece to make it a better furniture value. Show the dovetailing of the drawers, not just at the front, but at all four corners for greater strength and rigidity. Point out, in addition, the drawer is solidly glued with plenty of tight-fitting glue blocks for even greater strength. Show her why Drexel drawers will always slide at a feather touch because of the carefully aligned center guides. Let her feel the smooth interior finish that protects her nylons from snags and pulls. And mention, too, the dust panels between drawers that help keep the contents clean. And so you see, Drexel has given you a very saleable product. The finest that cabinet-making skill and modern production know-how can produce. But Drexel doesn't let it go at that. It offers sales protection and sales assistance. Let's take the first. The stores that sell Drexel are far outnumbered by the stores that would like to sell Drexel. If the restrictions were let down, you would very likely find Drexel at discount houses and special deal shops all over the country. But this does not happen, because over the years, Drexel has built one of the finest distribution systems in the country, consisting of only the better stores in any sales area. We've been able to do this by making the Drexel franchise a thing of real value. From the moment a Drexel franchise is awarded, that store has sales rights to the groups it carries in its own sales area. Careful checks are regularly made to make sure that no store tries to sell from a group that rightfully belongs to another. Another safeguard is the constant policing of orders. Every order that comes into Drexel is checked against a franchise list. Every store is cross-indexed with every Drexel group in 3 categories: can buy, cannot buy, and doesn't handle but can buy. And so you see, if you have exclusive rights to a group, no one is going to sell your customers out from under you if Drexel can do anything about it. Yes, your Drexel franchise is a pretty valuable agreement. Thus far, we've shown you that Drexel gives you a product of exceptionally fine quality, and that we give you an ironclad franchise to it. But we take a big step beyond this. We help you sell it, really help you. Now, when you see someone in your market area buying either a woman's magazine or a home service magazine, it's a fairly good bet that she's buying a sales message on Drexel furniture. And very likely it's about a group that your own store carries. And that's because Drexel's advertising program is one of really tremendous proportions in the home furnishing field. You know what we mean because you've seen them yourself. And readership studies have proved that women really notice the ads, read them, and remember them too. The advertising program is continuous and year-round, and it reaches your customers when they have their minds on their homes, reading magazines devoted to home and women's interest: Living, House and Gardens, American Home, Better Homes and Gardens, Women's Home Companion, Brides Magazine, House Beautiful, McCall's, Good Housekeeping, Ladies' Home Journal, and many more. In addition, each year, Drexel usually has one or more major promotions during your peak buying periods. Beyond this, Drexel regularly sends to your buyer complete sales planners. In them are all the materials required to promote Drexel by your store to capitalize on the impact that Drexel is making on the national level by following through in your own sales area. Certainly, this is a broad and comprehensive advertising and promotion program, and it pays concrete dividends. Proof of this is found in many places. One of them, the record of total sales, showing a strong and steady rise. Today, Drexel sales are 3 times greater than just 8 years ago. And another reliable barometer is brand name recognition. In the latest brand consciousness survey, Drexel continued by a wide margin to be the most widely known brand of bedroom and dining furniture. You'll find another indication of Drexel's leading position in the opinions of America's foremost home fashion editors. In magazines and newspapers over the country, you'll find feature after feature spotlighting Drexel's style, versatility, and its wonderful adaptability to present-day living. It's not merely by chance that the names of Drexel groups have been so thoroughly familiar across the land. Names like Precedent, American Traditional, Peasant Provincial, Travis Court, the most popular furniture group in America, Touraine, Hampton Court, Circle D, Biscayne, and many, many others. Let's take a look at a few of these popular Drexel groups. This is Drexel's Touraine, with all the romantic charm of picturesque French chateau living. In its dainty cabriole legs, soft pastel trim, and gently flowing lines, there is light-hearted gaiety and practical simplicity. Travis Court's friendliness and warmth is expressed in this graceful spider-legged oval table. Customers are impressed by its open stock, versatility, graceful proportions, and modest price. Adaptability is the word for Precedent. It fits into any space, combines with any furniture, and its gleaming silver elm blends smoothly with any color scheme. Adds sparkle to every room setting. American Traditional's honest simplicity makes for a background of friendly informality. This lovely Welsh dresser, based on an authentic early American design, proves that informality need not be plain. And so you see the Drexel line is as broad as it is beautiful. Its scope ranges from clean, alluring contemporary to rich and regal traditional, from the popular French Provincial to the equally popular colonial American. It is priced to be well within the medium price range, extending from the lower medium to the upper medium limits. Yes, whatever a customer is looking for, you can give her exactly what she wants from the comprehensive Drexel line. Just what she wants in style, in utility, in price. And whatever she chooses, she can be sure of sound construction, practical convenience, and lasting value. It's easy to understand our pride in every piece of furniture that carries the Drexel name. Likewise, you can be proud that it's on your floor. The combination of Drexel quality, Drexel style, the scope of the Drexel line, Drexel franchise protection, Drexel advertising, and Drexel promotion have put you in the strongest possible position to meet the challenge of today's market. With such powerful backing, the sales opportunities for you are greater than ever before. And Drexel can promise you this: the future holds even greater opportunity, greater sales, and greater profit for you all. With the most effective sales tool in the industry, the familiar brand mark, by Drexel.